Hello. Welcome to Reality Stories, where stories do come alive. Please subscribe and share with friends. Now relax and enjoy the story. The scorching Lagos sun beat down on the roadside market as Angela weaved through the crowd, holding a small brown envelope. It was her salary, Nigerian Naira 55000, for the entire month. Her scrubs were faded, her shoes almost worn out, but her smile was bright. She had plans. Mama needed new medication. The landlord was threatening eviction. But today, at least, there was something in her pocket. As she neared the bus park, a crowd gathered. A small boy, maybe 7, lay on the pavement convulsing. His tiny body trembled. People were filming. Some shook their heads. "Nah, dem day take drug again, oh," a woman muttered. Angela dropped her envelope and rushed to the boy. She bent over him, felt his pulse, and screamed, "He's not high. He's in shock. Someone help me get a taxi." No one moved. She lifted him into her arms, struggling under his weight. She ran toward the road, waving desperately. "Please, somebody stop." A Kiki rider slowed down. What happened? Angela climbed in, to the nearest hospital. "Please, I'll pay." They zoomed off. In the hospital, the staff demanded payment first. She placed her envelope on the counter. "All of it. Just help him." The boy survived. But Angela walked out broke, with nothing but the hospital receipt and gratitude. As she walked home, tired, hungry, with dust coating her feet, she spotted something in the gutter ahead. A man. He lay there, bleeding from his arm, face bruised. His shirt was torn. Without thinking, she rushed over. "Sir, can you hear me?" The man groaned. She ripped part of her sleeve to tie his wound and tried to help him sit up. He opened his eyes slowly. "Please, don't take my wallet," he whispered. "I'm not a thief," she said gently. "I'm a nurse. Let me help you." He looked shocked. "People just pass me." "I'm not people," she said, pulling him up with effort. They walked slowly, Angela supporting him despite her fatigue. "Can I take you to the clinic?" He shook his head. "I don't have money." "I didn't ask for money." He looked at her like she was a unicorn. By the time they reached her compound, Angela was drenched in sweat. Tina, her roommate, met them at the door. "Who is this?" He was bleeding in the gutter. I couldn't leave him. Tina stared, her arms folded. "Angela, not again." Angela sighed. "He needs rest. Just a night." The man looked down in shame. "My name is Chris. Thank you for everything." Angela smiled. "You're safe now." Morning came with the sound of honking cars and the clatter of neighbors preparing for work. Angela sat beside Chris on the mattress in their small sitting room. His face was less swollen now, but still pale. He sipped tea she had prepared with her last 2 bags. "You didn't have to," he murmured. Angela smiled. "I couldn't ignore you. God sees." Tina entered with crossed arms. "Angela, can we talk?" In the kitchen, Tina closed the door. "This is Lagos, not the village. You can't keep picking strangers off the street." "He was bleeding, Tina." "And you brought him here to do what? Nurse him with what money?" Angela didn't reply. Tina softened. "You're too kind. But kindness doesn't pay NEPA bills." Angela sighed. "I couldn't just walk away." "Would you?" Tina looked away. "I wouldn't, but I also won't lose my job trying to save the world." Angela returned to the sitting room. Chris was already trying to stand. "I'll leave today," he said. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not," she said firmly. "You rest. That's all I ask." 3 days later, Chris had become quieter, more observant. He asked little, ate less, and stared out the window often. One night, as Angela walked in, tired from a double shift at the clinic, she found Chris standing with a broom. "I wanted to help clean," he said, awkwardly. Angela chuckled. "You don't need to impress me. Just get better." Chris looked at her. "Why are you like this?" She blinked. "Like what?" "So kind." Angela shrugged. "Maybe because I've seen what unkindness looks like." The next morning, trouble came knocking. Angela was summoned to the matron's office. She walked in with her head bowed. The matron removed her glasses. Angela, how many times have we warned you? Angela stood silent. You've missed 3 days this month. Emergencies or not, patients or not, we need nurses who can rely on. I understand, You're one of our best, but the board made a decision. You're being let go. Angela froze. Ma, please. I'm sorry. It's final. Back home, she sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her ID card. Tina stood at the door, holding her bag. You've lost your job again, Tina said softly. Angela nodded. Because you kept running off to help people. Another nod. Tina sat beside her. I love your heart. I really do. But sometimes, I wonder who's going to help you. Angela smiled weakly. God will. Chris stood in the doorway, eyes wide. You lost your job? She looked up. Yes. Because of me? Angela shook her head. Because of many things. Don't blame yourself. He walked closer. I've been poor before, but I've never seen this type of goodness. I thought people like you don't exist anymore. Angela chuckled softly. People like me cry in private. They all sat in silence. Later that night, Chris knocked gently on Angela's door. She opened, surprised. I want to say thank you again. I'll leave tomorrow, he said. Angela frowned. Where will you go? I'll figure out. But I can't stay here, eating your food, sleeping under your roof while you suffer. Angela looked at him. Chris, you're not just anyone. You're a human being. That's all I need to know. He swallowed. You may be the only real human I've met in years. Angela smiled and closed the door softly. In the quiet of her room, she sat staring at her cracked ceiling. The room was warm and humid, but her heart was colder. She prayed aloud, voice trembling. Lord, I know you see me. I'm trying my best. But why does doing good always bring pain? Silence. Then a soft breeze came through the open window. Maybe it wasn't God speaking, but it gave her peace. Angela stood outside her small compound, watching the early morning sky. She clutched her phone tightly. She had just received a text from her uncle in the village. Mama is not well. Please come if you can. She sighed. As she turned to head back inside, Chris stepped out of the room he shared with Tina's brother for the past week. He looked better now. Healthier, cleaner, stronger. He even smiled more often. Angela, he called softly. She turned. Good morning. Chris approached, rubbing the back of his neck. I've been thinking. It's time I go. I can't live off you forever. Angela blinked. Do you have a plan? He hesitated. I reached out to someone I know in Port Harcourt. He has a small construction firm. He said I can work with him. Just need to find my way there. Angela looked down. How much do you need? Angela, I didn't ask for her. I know, but I'm offering. Tell me. He hesitated again. 15,000 for transport and small things till I settle. She nodded slowly, went inside, and returned with the money, all in folded 500 Nigerian Naira's notes. Chris stared at it, his lips parting. Are you sure? Angela smiled faintly. You helped clean my house. You made me laugh when I was down. You deserve a new chance. He took the money and gently held her hand. You're not just kind, Angela. You're rare. I'll never forget this. Then he walked out with a small bag and disappeared into the morning crowd. 3 days later, Angela hadn't heard from Chris. She sat on the couch, phone in hand, trying to ignore the gnawing in her chest. Tina walked in, her face unreadable. I went to Yaba today. Tina began. Angela looked up. Okay. I saw someone. Angela sat up straighter. Tina dropped her bag. Chris, in a black Lexus, wearing designer shades, laughing. Angela's eyes widened. Are you sure? I'm not blind. Tina snapped. He saw me. Drove off. Angela felt like someone had punched her chest. But he said he had no one. No money. He said he was struggling. Tina folded her arms. Angela, this is Lagos. Half of the people you help are actors. This one just played you well. Angela swallowed hard. Her hands trembled. She stood and walked outside. The sky was darkening, but the pain in her chest was brighter than ever. She sat on the edge of the gutter, silent tears falling down her cheeks. How could he? Why me? Again? A neighbor passed by. "Auntie Nurse, why you day cry?" Angela wiped her face. Dust entered my eye. That night, she didn't eat. She lay on the mattress, staring at the ceiling. Tina entered with Gary and groundnut. "I know you don't want this," she said, setting it down. "But eat something before you faint." Angela didn't speak. Tina sat beside her. "He's gone. Forget him." Angela whispered, "I wasn't expecting him to marry me. I just thought he was honest." "You always think that," Tina said. "That's your blessing and your curse." Angela finally turned to face her. "Why does being good hurt so much?" Tina took her hand. "Because the world is not fair, but it needs people like you." They sat in silence as thunder rumbled in the distance. The next morning, Angela packed a small nylon bag and boarded a bus to Enugu. Her heart was heavy, but her eyes were dry. She arrived late in the evening at her family compound. The house was quiet, made of old cement blocks with a zinc roof. Inside, her mother lay on a thin mattress, frail and coughing. "Mama," Angela whispered. Mrs. Gloria opened her eyes weakly. "Angela, you came." Angela held her close. "I'll always come." Her uncle stood at the door. "She's getting worse. The local clinic says she needs oxygen and antibiotics. They want advance payment." Angela nodded. "How much?" "Nigerian Naira 30,000, he replied. Angela sat down slowly. She had just 4,000 Nigerian Nairas in her account. Her voice shook. "I'll find it." Later that day, Angela walked into the town hospital and approached the matron. "Good afternoon, Ma. I'm Nurse Angela, visiting from Lagos." The woman looked up. "Yes, my mother is ill. I need to raise money for her treatment. I don't have it." The matron frowned. "We are not a charity." "I know," Angela said softly, "but I'm a trained nurse. Please, let me clean, assist, anything. Just help my mother live." The woman stared at her for a moment. "Come back tomorrow, 6 a.m. sharp." Angela bowed. "Thank you." The next day, 6 a.m., Angela tied a scarf around her hair and wore borrowed gloves. She scrubbed toilets, mopped floors, emptied bins. Patients passed her, none realizing she was a nurse, not a janitor. When her knees ached, she thought of her mother. When her hands cracked, she thought of her mama's warm hugs. When her eyes burned, she prayed silently, "Lord, please see me." For days later, Angela handed over 25,000 Nigerian Nairas in crumpled cash to the clinic. The matron nodded. "We'll start her treatment immediately." Angela collapsed on a bench outside, exhausted but relieved. Just then, a man in a long brown coat stepped into the corridor. He had a short beard and gentle eyes. His name tag read Pastor Jordan. He had been observing her for 3 days from a distance. He approached her slowly. "You work very hard," he said. Angela looked up, startled. "Do I know you, sir?" He smiled. "Not yet, but I know people like you." Angela narrowed her eyes. "People like me? Those who keep giving, even when they have nothing left." She blinked, unsure what to say. He handed her a small envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "A seed." "I didn't ask for anything." "I know, but heaven saw you washing toilets to save your mother. So heaven sent someone." Angela opened the envelope. Inside was 50,000 Nigerian Nairas. Her hands trembled. This is too much." He smiled and turned to walk away. "Wait, sir. Who are you?" He stopped and turned. "Someone who believes a good heart deserves good things. That's all." Then he disappeared down the corridor. Angela clutched the envelope, sank to her knees, and sobbed, not from pain this time, but from gratitude. That night, she lay beside her mother, who had already started showing signs of recovery. Her breathing was stronger. "Mama," she whispered. "Yes, my daughter." I met someone today, someone who reminded me that God hasn't forgotten me. Her mother smiled faintly. I never believed he did. Angela squeezed her mother's hand. Me too. As they drifted into sleep, the crickets sang outside, and Angela's heart felt a little lighter. Angela returned to Lagos with just a small bag and a grateful heart. Her mother was getting better. The doctor had even said she'd be discharged in a week. But Angela had no job, no savings, and her rent was overdue. She walked slowly down Ojalegba Road, trying to clear her head. I have nothing, she whispered to herself. Suddenly, her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered cautiously. Hello, is this Nurse Angela? Yes, who is this? The voice on the other end smiled. This is Mr. Rowland, Minister of State for Youth and Welfare. Angela blinked. Sir, you may not remember me, but I remember you very well. Please, can you come to my office at Ikoyi tomorrow? I would like to see you. Angela's legs trembled. Yes, sir. Yes, I'll be there. He ended the call. Tina walked in from the kitchen just then. Who was that? Angela stared at her. Tina, you won't believe this. The next day, Minister's office, Ikoyi. Angela stood outside a glass building, looking nervous. She wore her neatest dress, and her hair was tied up in a scarf. She clutched her small bag tightly. The secretary led her in. Mr. Rowland stood and stretched his arms wide. He was tall, well-dressed, and smiling warmly. Angela, the angel nurse. Please, sit down. Angela sat slowly, her mind racing. Sir, have we met before? Yes, he said gently. 3 years ago. My son had a terrible fire accident. No one wanted to treat him because I wasn't a minister then, just a struggling businessman. Angela's eyes widened. You didn't ask questions. You didn't demand money. You saved his life, he continued. She gasped. Your son, he was the boy with burns on 3rd Mainland Bridge Hospital? He nodded. Exactly. You were the only one who stood by him. Angela covered her mouth, tears in her eyes. I've looked for you for over a year. Until last week, I saw you in a hospital corridor, on your knees, scrubbing the floor. Angela's heart stopped. I asked about you. They told me everything. And I knew this is her, the same nurse who saved my son. She began to cry. I was only doing my duty, sir. You were doing God's work, he corrected. Then he opened a drawer and pulled out a file. I spoke to the director at Lagos Prime Medical Center. He's agreed to take you as a senior nurse. Housing is included, and your first salary has already been deposited. Angela sat frozen. Sir, this can't be real. He smiled. It is. And one more thing. Your mother's hospital bill is cleared, paid in full. Angela sobbed. Mr. Rowland stood and placed his hand on her shoulder. Angela, your good heart may have cost you a lot, but today it pays you back. She stood, shaking, and hugged him tightly. God bless you, sir. You don't know what this means to me. No, he whispered. I know exactly what it means. Later that night, back at the compound, Angela burst into the room where Tina was frying plantain. Tina jumped. Jesus, you scared me. Angela was crying and laughing at the same time. Tina, I got the job. A real job. With good pay. Housing. Everything. Tina screamed. Wait, what? Angela nodded and twirled in the middle of the room. And they paid my salary up front. I'm not dreaming. Tina hugged her. Angela, finally, see how God remembered you. Angela whispered, the man I helped years ago remembered me. Tina pulled back. So good heart still wins? Angela nodded. Eventually. 2 weeks passed. Angela had moved into her new apartment. Clean, tiled, and filled with light. She wore crisp uniforms now. She sent money home regularly. Life was finally coming together. Until one rainy Friday. She was just locking her office at the hospital when she heard her name. Angela. The voice was weak. Familiar. She turned. There, soaked in rainwater and mud, stood Chris. Her heart stopped. He looked like a ghost. skin darker from sunburn, clothes torn, a fresh scar on his forehead. "Chris," she whispered. He nodded, breathing heavily. "I found you." Angela took a step back. "What are you doing here?" He stumbled and dropped to his knees. "Angela, please. I'm not who you think I am. I didn't use you. I swear." Angela stared at him. Her chest ached. "You left without a word. After I gave you my last money." "I was kidnapped," he said, shaking, "on the way to Port Harcourt. They beat me, took everything. I was dumped near a forest. I begged my way back to Lagos." Angela remained silent. Chris looked up, eyes desperate. "I went to your old compound. They said you moved. I searched every hospital, every street. I've slept under bridges looking for you." Tears slipped down her cheeks, but she wiped them quickly. "Why should I believe you?" "Because even after all that, I came back here to say sorry, to explain. I had nothing, but I remembered your kindness. It kept me alive." Angela bit her lip. "You saw Tina in a car. Why didn't you come then?" "I didn't see her. That wasn't me. I don't even own shoes right now." She looked down. His feet were bare, covered in blisters. "Come," she whispered. Back at her apartment, Tina opened the door. The smell of food filled the air. When she saw Chris behind Angela, her smile vanished. "Oh no, not again." Angela entered, guiding him in. Tina raised her voice. "Angela, have you lost your mind? After what he did?" "He didn't do what we thought," Angela replied quietly. "He was kidnapped." Tina scoffed. "Kidnapped? In a Lexus?" Chris coughed weakly. "I didn't drive any Lexus." Tina folded her arms. "So what do you want now?" "Another loan." Chris looked down. "I want a blanket, food, and forgiveness." Angela turned to Tina. "He's not staying here, just for tonight. He'll eat, sleep, and leave in the morning." Tina rolled her eyes. "One night, that's it." Later that night, Angela brought out rice and stew. Chris ate slowly, tears in his eyes. "This is the first proper meal I've had in weeks," he said. Angela sat across from him. "So what's your plan now?" He looked at her. "Start over. Maybe get a job at a construction site. Just enough to survive. I've lost everything else." Angela looked at his hands. Bruised, scarred. "Did you ever lie to me, Chris?" she asked. He shook his head. "Never. Not about the important things. I just wasn't ready to let you in fully." Angela stood up. "You'll sleep on the couch." "Thank you." As she walked to her room, she turned back and said softly, "I'm not the same girl who gave blindly. Don't make me regret this kindness." Chris nodded. "I never will." That night, Angela lay awake. Why did God bring him back? Was it a test? A second chance? Or another mistake? Outside, the rain fell harder. But inside her, something gentle stirred. Not love. Not yet. But maybe, just maybe. Hope. Angela adjusted her name tag. Nurse Angela E. Her new workplace, Lagos Prime Medical Center, was luxurious. The air was cool, the tiles gleamed, and everyone wore crisp white coats. Wealthy clients filled the reception. This was a different world from her humble clinic days. Her first week had been smooth. Patients loved her. Doctors praised her. But not everyone was smiling behind closed doors. In the break room, two nurses whispered while staring at her. "She just came and already everyone likes her. She thinks she's better than us," one sneered. "That's the nurse that minister helped. If I had a godfather like that, I'd be flying too." Angela greeted them as she passed. "Good afternoon." They smiled back, too wide. "Afternoon, Angela." 2 days later, a commotion broke out in Ward C. A 5-year-old boy had an allergic reaction. He was foaming at the mouth. Angela rushed in and immediately administered oxygen. "Get the allergy chart," she shouted. The doctor, Dr. Sewell, barged in. "What happened?" Angela handed him the file. The child reacted to penicillin, but his chart said he wasn't allergic. Dr. Sewell scanned the paper, his face turning dark. "This child is severely allergic. Who approved this medication?" Angela frowned. I followed the file. I double-checked. The mother screamed in the hallway, "You people want to kill my child." The hospital director walked in. "What is going on here?" Dr. Sewell held up the file. The allergy section was cleared. This nurse approved penicillin, a near-death error. Angela's heart raced. "Sir, I didn't change anything." I followed the chart. The director turned to her. "Nurse Angela, hand over your ID. You're suspended with immediate effect." Angela gasped. "Sir, please. We'll call you if needed. Until then, leave this building." The child stabilized, but the damage was done. Staff, patients, even the cleaners, looked at Angela like a murderer as she walked out. Outside the hospital, Angela sat on a bench under a mango tree, her ID card still in her pocket. Tears poured down her cheeks. "Why me? Again?" She dialed Tina. "Hello? Tina, they suspended me." "What? Why?" "They said I nearly killed a child. But the file, someone changed it. I swear I didn't." Tina was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Angela, listen to me. You're strong. You've been through worse. If this isn't from God, it will pass." Angela whispered, "I'm tired of proving myself." That night, Angela returned to her room and fell to her knees. "Lord," she cried, "if being good only brings pain, teach me how to stop caring." Silence. Then a knock at the door. She wiped her face and opened it. Standing there was Pastor Jordan, the mysterious man who once gave her 50,000 Nigerian nairas at the village hospital. "Pastor," she breathed. "Good evening, Nurse Angela," he said with a calm smile. "I was just passing by Lagos, and something told me to check on you." Angela stepped aside. "Please come in." He sat and watched her for a while. "Your eyes are tired. Life has not been kind lately." Angela nodded. He looked around, still as humble as ever. "Tell me what's hurting you this time." Angela told him everything. The file, the accusation, the shame. He didn't interrupt. When she finished, he looked at her gently and said, "Fire doesn't destroy gold. It purifies it." Angela blinked. Sometimes God allows you to be burned, so when he brings you out, no one can say it was luck. He reached into his bag and handed her a small note. "What's this?" "Just a message. Don't open it now. Read it when you wake up tomorrow." She stared at it. "But why?" He smiled. "Because sometimes answers don't come in the night. They come with the sun." Then he stood and walked out. Angela sat there, the note clutched in her hand, confused but strangely calm. Morning sunlight filtered through the window. Birds chirped as Angela opened her eyes. For the first time in days, she had slept deeply. She sat up and remembered the note. Slowly, she unfolded it. "Your name will be called where you didn't apply. Doors will open that no man can shut. Keep standing." Isaiah 22 verse 22". Angela stared at it for a long time. Just then her phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Hello? Is this Nurse Angela Det?" "Yes. This is Mercy Foundation. You've been shortlisted for a UN Global Health Fellowship in Kenya." Angela sat up, heart racing. I didn't apply." The woman on the line chuckled. "Someone recommended you with strong references. Your CV was attached." Angela's mind spun. "Who recommended me?" "Anonymous submission," the woman replied. "But it came with a personal note from one C.E. Adams and a doctor from Ghana who called you the Florence Nightingale of Africa." Angela whispered. "Chris?" She was given an interview time next week. As she dropped the phone, Tina burst into the room. "I just saw your name online." Tina shouted. "They said you're shortlisted for a UN fellowship. Angela, you're going international." Angela laughed and cried at the same time. "But I didn't even submit." "God did," Tina replied. "He used whoever he had to use." That evening, Angela sat with Chris on a bench outside. His wounds were healing, and he was now working as a bricklayer. She looked at him quietly. "Was it you?" Chris smiled faintly. "I just made a few calls. Sent your story and documents to the right hands. That's all." Why? He looked at her. Because you saved me when no one else would. And because I see the woman you are, even when the world tries to bury you. Angela looked down. I don't know what to say. Chris stood. Say nothing. Just win. As he turned to leave, Angela called out, Chris. He turned. She smiled. Thank you. He smiled back. This time, I'm not disappearing. Later that night, Angela stood at her window, staring up at the moon. From being wrongly accused to being noticed by the United Nations, God really does prepare a table in front of your enemies. She opened her diary and wrote, The world tried to bury me, but they didn't know I was a seed. The email came on a quiet Thursday morning. Angela was in the kitchen, boiling rice and humming softly when her phone buzzed. Subject, UN Global Health Fellowship, final decision. Her heart skipped. She wiped her hands on a towel and tapped it open. Her eyes froze, then widened, then filled with tears. She screamed. Tina ran in, panicked. Angela, what happened? Angela dropped the phone and hugged her tightly. I got it, she cried. Tina, I got it. I'm going to Nairobi. Tina screamed too, almost knocking over the rice pot. Are you serious? Angela nodded, laughing and crying at the same time. They said, I'll be part of a team helping build rural health systems. I'll travel, get trained, and represent Nigeria. They both jumped around the kitchen like children. Angela, look at God. Tina said, You were cleaning toilets, and now the world is calling you. Angela paused and looked at her best friend with deep affection. And you stayed, even when I looked stupid for being kind. Tina pulled her into another hug. You taught me that goodness is not weakness. 2 weeks later, Angela and Tina sat in a modest office, bare walls and second-hand chairs. A small signboard outside read, The Good Heart Foundation for Women in Crisis. They had started it together, using part of Angela's first UN grant and Tina's savings. It was small, but it was theirs. Angela looked around the room and whispered, One day, women from all over will walk in here and walk out healed. Tina wiped a tear. From street girls to single mothers will be their light. That evening, Chris arrived carrying a small brown bag and a bottle of malt. He looked better, clean-shaven, in a neat shirt and jeans. He had gotten steady work with a construction company and had started night classes. Angela welcomed him in. You're glowing, he laughed. It's cement and sweat. Tina teased. You should thank Angela. She made you market ready. They all laughed. Later, Chris asked Angela to step outside. The sky was deep blue, and the stars were beginning to shine. I wanted to talk to you alone, he said. Angela folded her arms, smiling. Okay, I'm listening. He took a deep breath. You changed my life, Angela. Twice. First when you saved me. Then when you forgave me. She looked at him quietly. Chris dropped to one knee. No ring. No big crowd. Just a small, folded paper in his hand. I have nothing fancy, he said. Just a promise that I'll protect your heart the way you protected mine. Angela stared, stunned. Chris continued. I don't want to waste your time. I want to grow with you, build with you, fight with you and for you. He handed her the note. She unfolded it. It read, Will you take a risk on a man with scars who worships your soul? Tears filled her eyes. Angela didn't say anything. She just slowly knelt beside him and held his hand. I'm not ready for marriage yet, she said gently, but I'm ready for love. Real love. Chris nodded. That's more than enough. They stayed there, on the ground, under the stars. Two broken people finding peace in each other. Days later, in the village, Angela stood beside her mother, who was now stronger and healthier. They both laughed as Angela braided her hair. Mama, guess what? What? I'm going to speak at a women's conference in Kenya next month. Mrs. Gloria's eyes filled with pride. Angela, you were born with nothing but heart. Now, the world will hear it. Angela smiled. It's not about fame. I just want to tell other women like me that God sees. Nairobi, Kenya. The ballroom of a 5-star hotel buzzed with energy. Women from over 20 countries sat dressed in colorful traditional attire. Banners read, International Women's Summit 2025, Healing Through Stories. Angela stood backstage, clutching her speech. She wore a beautiful green ochre gown, simple earrings, and her natural hair in a bun. The host's voice echoed, Please welcome from Nigeria, Angela Adet. Thunderous applause. Angela stepped out. Her heart pounded, but her steps were steady. She stood at the podium, stared at the crowd, and smiled. Good morning, she began. My name is Angela, and I am the girl with the good heart. The crowd grew silent. She took a breath. I grew up in a small village, raised by a sick mother and nothing but faith. I became a nurse, not because I wanted to be rich, but because I knew pain and I wanted to ease it. Soft murmurs. Nods. I helped strangers. I gave my last money to a child on the street. I even took in a bleeding man who had no ID and no shoes. Laughter. Angela continued, voice steady. But life wasn't fair. That same man disappeared. I lost my job. I was humiliated, betrayed, accused. People told me I was foolish. She paused. I thought kindness was killing me. Silence. But what I didn't know is that every tear I cried was watering something. A seed. And one day, that seed would bloom. Applause. Today, I run a women's foundation. I've been given a second chance. I'm standing in a room filled with sisters from around the world. And all I can say is, your heart is not your weakness. It is your power. Louder applause. A few people stood. Angela ended with a smile. If you are a woman who gave too much, who was laughed at for loving, I'm here to say, you are not foolish. You are gold. And one day, your good heart will win. Standing ovation. Tears. Claps. Cheering. Backstage. A young woman from South Africa hugged Angela. Your story is my story, she said, sobbing. A reporter asked, Can we publish your speech in Women of Grace magazine? Angela smiled. Yes, if it helps just one more woman, then it's worth it. Later that night, hotel room, Angela sat on the balcony, video calling Tina and Chris. You were perfect, Tina said, eyes red from crying. Chris grinned. I knew you'd shake the world. Angela looked at them with deep love. I'm not shaking the world. I'm just healing it, one story at a time. She ended the call, looked up at the sky, and whispered, Lord, I gave until I had nothing, and now I have everything that matters.